There we go. Hello, YouTube and Substack and Facebook et al. All right. That's good. Let me make sure. Oop. Instagram's running here. Hang on. Instagram. Bam. There we go. And then Substack. There's Substack. Okay, Substackers are not there yet, but they will be. Oh, there's Ashley. Ashley Beese. All right. Excellent. Okay, Substackers are there. Yeah, I think all I've got to do now is to TikTok, but TikTok's ready actually. So TikTok, and we are good. Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree. I do need to put my fan on in this room with my thermostat, because otherwise it's a little too warm. Hello, TikTok. Let me get my temperature going here. Hello, TikTok. Hello, 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 hello. All right, here's my fan in here. Excellent. There we go. All right. That's better. All right. Good. My fan is on in this room, which is much better. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I've got my, dripping everywhere. Okay, that's a little, one moment. That's a little wet. That's a little wet. I've got my, watch out, you. My ginger tea is a bit wet on the counter, which I don't want. But that's okay. All right. Anyway. Oh, we're flipped. We're flipped. Hang on. Oh, God damn it. TikTok. Damn it, TikTok. TikTok. God. TikTok changed all the settings again on me. So I have to relearn. I have to relearn how to change the settings since TikTok changed them on me. No, this is the normal way now. Now we're the normal way. But anyway, welcome everybody. Okay, I think we're good. Sound is good today. Shock. Sound is where it always is, but you never know what it's going to do. So that's good to know. Yeah. So how are we doing today, guys? Welcome everybody. Happy Monday. I have my ginger tea to protect my voice again. There we go. And this is a mug that my nephew got me at Christmas that I've used, but I'm finally using to see if it'll hold. I don't know if it's going to hold the heat more or not. We're going to find out. It's got a little lid. So I'm going to try the little lid and see if maybe that works. Anyway, welcome everybody. We're going to talk about the news. We got enough news to talk about today. So that's good. Well, maybe good. Actually, Trump is having a bad news day. So that's good for the world. So that's kind of a good thing. More ginger tea. But yes, that's a very good thing. So we're very glad about that. Anyway, yeah, no, you're leaving now. You're weird. You're just freaking weird. Cookie watching. Oh, that's funny. Watching me on TV. Okay. Yeah, I know Callum's daughter watches me too. Anyway, buenas tardes, Omar. So anyway, welcome everybody. John Arvos is here from Washington, D.C. Welcome. Oh, it is June 1st. It's Pride Month. Okay, this is True Street Rat. Welcome, guys. So we've got a packed show of news. I don't know that Trump got any good news today, really. Some good Ukraine news. A lot of good news in terms of Donald Trump getting stymied left and right. The war, well, basically the peace talks are off, but Donald Trump, being Donald Trump, admits the peace talks are off. He says he was bored. I'm going to go through that. Donald Trump, I was getting bored of the talks. And then claimed in the last hour, oh, the talks are going great. The peace talks ended today. Iran ended them and Trump said, yeah, they're over. And then literally an hour ago said they're going great. Because again, pathological. Here's the thing you got to remember. Con man. Okay? That's all you got to remember with Donald Trump. Con man. Con men lie. And con men assume that their con is always going to win. That no matter what the truth is, they'll just lie and they'll get away with it. So no matter how bad things are, Donald Trump will just lie. Right. But the problem is sometimes he tells the truth by accident, like he did earlier today about the war. And then he lies and then it's a little confusing. The judges, he's in trouble with his little 1.8 billion fund for his cronies. He's in trouble on a lot of fronts. It's pretty funny today. It's like, ha, 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 ha. A little more ginger tea. as I said, I don't like the amount of sugar in here, but otherwise I'm liking the ginger tea for relaxing my voice a bit to help with the show. So, or to help me with my voice, I should say, during the show. All right. Let's get rolling, guys. So, welcome. Let's get rolling. I'm going to get into the news. As always, I very much appreciate your gifts. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Substack, everywhere. Well, you can't all do gifts. I guess YouTube can do gifts. TikTok can do gifts. Rest of you can certainly become monthly supporters or paid supporters, which I would very much appreciate. TikTok, you can also do that as well as a super fan, which is basically a paid supporter, but whatever you want to do. So thank you. And I do try to do shout outs for the bigger gifts on TikTok. So with no further ado, so Iran announced today that the negotiations are off. Iran said for like two reasons. One, they said because of Israel's incursion into Lebanon, which is heating up. Iran said they were ending the talks. But Iran, my favorite part, though, was Iran said the second reason they were ending the talks with Trump is because the White House was too mercurial. And I love the fact, first of all, that the White House staff are going to have to explain to Donald Trump what the word mercurial means. I mean, that's like fabulous, right? Well, what did the Iranians say? Well, they said you're too mercurial. What does that mean? And basically, mercurial means, for anybody who doesn't speak English, fair enough, it means flighty. Flighty is a great, I mean, of course, the word you've got to use is great too, because it's flighty. And flighty means he flits this way, he flits that way, la, 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 right? Donald Trump's decision-making is la, 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 right? He's a flip-flopper, yep. But I also like flighty because flighty is even more la, 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 which is really, I mean, Donald Trump doesn't just flip-flop. He's not like a macho guy who flip-flops. He's la, 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 right? I mean, that is Donald Trump. If you had to be Donald Trump without words, your Donald Trump impersonation without words would be la, 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 right? Anyway, so Iran pulls out of the talks today. They say, well, interestingly, they said they may shut down the Strait of Hormuz entirely. The thing I don't understand is I thought the Strait of Hormuz was already shut. So I'm not entirely sure I understand what Iran means by we may just shut down the entire Strait of Hormuz, because pretty much it's been shut down, right? We know that. So that's a little weird, but more ginger tea. Trump then, after Iran says they shut down the talks today, Trump then, and I'm going to tell you what Trump said. Trump also gave great statements about it, like, we don't care, I don't care, I'm bored, I hope they're shut down, this kind of crap. Trump then turns around right before the show, a couple minutes ago, and says, no, the talks are continuing at a rapid pace. Iran just shut down the talks today. And Trump, of course, because Trump, by the way, how many months ago was it that Trump said we won the war? How many months ago was it that Trump said, oh, no, we're about to reach a deal with Iran? They've agreed. Remember, was it 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago that Trump said Iran had agreed to pretty much everything that Trump had proposed? And remember, we went through the list and we were like, bullshit, what do you mean? They didn't agree to anything. Well, listen to what Trump said today when he initially got the word that Iran had pulled out of the talks, right? Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. We're going to keep going back and forth with the temperature here. Listen to Trump's quotes. We've been talking too much, if you want to know the truth, he told NBC's Garrett Hake in response to news of Iran's pause. I think going silent would be very good, and that could be for a long time. I really don't care. I couldn't care less, Trump told CNBC when told that Iran was pulling out of the talks. Okay, mind you, he gets told Iran's pulling out of the talks. I really don't care. I couldn't care less. So Trump couldn't care less if the war goes on indefinitely and the peace talks don't ever go anywhere. He couldn't care. Good luck telling that to the American people right now. That means your gas prices are going to stay through the roof. That means other prices are going to continue going through the roof. He says, he said, the talks have become very boring. He literally said that. He couldn't care less because the talks have become very boring. Keep in mind, a couple of weeks ago, remember, there was a report that Trump wanted to move on from the war because he was getting bored. Do you remember that? I mean, that's what's really interesting is he confirmed that today by saying he's getting bored. Right, he's a toddler. He's getting bored. He wants to move on. He wants to move on to another war, right? I mean, that's exactly what it is. I want to move on to another war. I'm bored with this war, you know? You know, wars are so boring. I mean, it's unbelievable. He then says, oh, this is my favorite part. It doesn't mean we're going to go and start dropping bombs all over there. We'll just keep the blockade. So then what the idiot did is he said, well, if Iran just refuses to negotiate, it doesn't mean we're going to bomb them again. We'll just keep the blockade. In other words, Iran, don't worry. Don't worry, Iran, if you're going to refuse to negotiate, if you're going to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed. Donald Trump just said he won't be bombing you as a result. So Donald Trump took U.S. military weapons off the board in terms of a possible threat to Iran if they don't negotiate in good faith, which only goes to prove what we've been saying all along, which is Donald Trump is terrified of basically having this war start up again, right? I mean, it's really, he just boggles my mind. I don't know. I mean, anyway. What else we got? Wall Street Journal. U.S. warplanes attacked Iranian radar and drone sites on Keshem Island and Gorik after Iran shot down an American drone. Kuwait's army said Monday morning that Kuwait was under attack by missiles and drones from Iran as well. Trump, in other news, Trump is backing the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times report this afternoon that Trump is backing down now from his anti-weaponization fund. That basically multiple sources. Now, what I loved was the Wall Street Journal, because the Wall Street Journal says it looks like Donald Trump is getting ready to kill his anti-weaponization fund are the $2 billion practically that Trump wants to pay to the domestic terrorists who tried to overthrow the government on January 6th, them and basically any other criminal elements among his friends. He wants to give them billions of our taxpayer money, right? Well, including the cop beaters, the people who beat the police with American flags and sticks and everything. Well, now, two different reports that it looks like Trump is getting ready to kill the fund entirely because Republicans on Capitol Hill, God bless them, have said, you're nuts if you think we're going to do this before the election. That basically we're in enough trouble already and you want us to vote on giving $2 billion to your criminal friends. So Trump today, anyway, bottom line is two different stories today saying Trump is getting ready to kill the fund, which is great news. Now, the Wall Street Journal story, I will say, which was actually quite accurate, though. The Wall Street Journal story said, but it said a White House official said that Donald Trump is getting prepared to kill the fund. It said, but he changes his mind a lot, so you never know. Basically, a White House official says, oh, yeah, he's getting ready to kill the fund, but he changes his mind. So he's mercurial. He's flighty. The guy's flighty. He's a ditz. That would be a good word. Ditzy would be a good word. He's ditzy. So ditzy in the White House might change her mind again. But nonetheless, for now, he's backing off on the weaponization fund. Trump admitted this weekend that, hello, you. Hi. Sasha got a haircut today. She's looking very good. Still her old self. I mean, still her ancient self. But nonetheless, she's looking good with her haircut. Trump admitted this weekend that when he, exactly, Taco, Chris, that when he got his physical last week, so Trump gets his physical exam, his annual physical, he gets 2 a year, nobody knows why, but he got his annual physical, his biannual physical on Tuesday. Said he was going to release the results immediately, waited until Friday night at 11 p.m. on Friday night, 11 p.m., released the results. A lot of stuff was missing. There was a lot of weird stuff, like they used AI to examine his heart, and AI said his heart was 14 years younger than he really is, which is total bullshit. AI did not say, I mean, it doesn't, there's no, all the doctors waited and said, there's literally no such thing as an AI heart exam. Luis just said, good point, that a number of things the doctor said Trump did not release. He didn't release his medication list. They said, well, we abbreviated them. And the doctor goes, there's no such thing as abbreviating a medication list on a physical exam. You literally list all the medication. There were a number of heart tests they did, and they said, oh, they were normal. They didn't give the numbers. And the numbers would tell you if they truly were normal, right? Also, the problem with giving the numbers is if the doctor gives the number and the doctor lies, then the doctor is talking about losing his medical license. So that's probably why his doctor didn't want to give the numbers. I want to show you a couple different things. One is, and I went and looked this up because people were talking about this. So Donald Trump claimed his doctor claimed on Friday night that he measured Donald Trump's height last week, and Donald Trump was 6'3". I forget what it is in centimeters, but 6'3" was Donald Trump height. Okay, I want to show you who else is 6'3". On Tuesday of last week, Donald Trump was 6'3". Okay, Prince William is 6'3". I want you to look very carefully at this picture of the two of them meeting. Prince William is clearly taller. Let's look at another picture of the two of them meeting. This is even better at the White House. This is November or December of 2024. I shouldn't say at the White House, but if it was November or December of 2024, a year and a half ago. Look at the difference there. Prince William, clearly taller than Donald Trump. Clearly taller than Donald Trump. Okay? Again here. This is in Paris, France, December of 2024. This one's even more obvious, right? You know what? Jesse says, who cares? Jesse's leaving us, unfortunately. But Jesse says, who cares? Well, Jesse, here's the thing. When you don't live in a communist dictatorship, you care that your president is a pathological liar that lies about everything. Because if he's willing to lie about something as simple as his height, he's going to lie about a war that's gotten 13 or maybe more of our U.S. soldiers killed. He's going to lie about a war that has spiked our gasoline prices, and what the experts say that oil prices are about to go through the roof in the next 2 to 4 weeks, that they're going to explode. That's why we care about having a president who's a pathological liar, because a guy who's going to lie about his height, and by the way, why does he lie about his height? Because he's obese. His body mass index would be obese if it was above 30. It's 29.7. With the weight, 238 pounds, my ass. But he's claiming he's only 238 pounds. But even at 238 pounds, which is bullshit because he isn't 238, he's way more than that. He has to be 6'3" for 238 pounds to not be obese. 238 pounds would be obese if he's less than 6'3". That's why he's saying he's 6'3", because his health isn't healthy. He would be unhealthy. He's lying to us about his health. He's lying to us about whether he can do this job. So why do we care? Because, again, we don't live in a communist dictatorship. We actually care about leaders who are pathological liars, because if they're willing to lie about the simple stuff, they're going to lie about the rest of the stuff too. Yeah. But nice try. I love that. Who cares? I mean, we know you don't care. That's obvious. I mean, cults don't care, right? They don't care that he's accused of sexual assault. They don't care that he stole classified information. They don't care that he tried to violently overthrow the government. They don't care about a lot of stuff. But normal Americans care, and that's the reason that Trump is only at 30% approval in the polls, because 70% of Americans care. Now, what else do we care about? Dementia. Donald Trump admitted, and he bragged about it. This is the crazy thing. Sorry, another sip of ginger tea here. Donald Trump bragged this weekend that his doctor had him take a 4th dementia test. Okay? A 4th one. Now, many doctors have already weighed in and said, you don't give a senior 4 dementia tests unless there's a problem. One guy, for example, I saw, who's talking about his mother, actually. He said, my mother gets dementia tests because she's got dementia. And he says she gets the test once a year. Once a year, she gets a dementia test. Trump has had 4 now. He claimed he had one at least a year ago or 6 months ago. We don't know. Okay? Exactly. Jen just weighed in. And people were saying, why would you give someone 4 dementia tests? Here's why you'd give somebody 4 dementia tests. Because you want to track their dementia. Because they're the president of the United... Here's a hypothetical. You're the president of the United States with Alzheimer's. And kind of nuclear bomb. We're at war. Literally, life and death, war decisions have to be made, and people have to worry about whether you have too much dementia that you can't do the job. That's why you would have 4 dementia tests. because you'd need to make sure that this guy's still capable of doing the job. He bragged about it. He absolutely bragged about it. Is that true, Mike? That actually, are you sure that's the real quote? Sorry, Mike was pulling up a quote from Trump to Netanyahu today. Are we sure that quote is real? I want to pull that one up. We'll get to that in a second, but that's a very interesting quote if it's real. So, fourth dementia test. Even scarier. A really bad way to convince people that you don't have dementia is when you go for your physical and you've now had your fourth dementia test and you still think it's an IQ test after 4 times. I would be very worried about my parent if the 4th time they got a dementia test. Yeah, I wouldn't trust. Oh yeah, don't trust that, Mike. Well, no, I'm sorry. What do you mean? Oh, because it's somebody else claiming Axios? Yeah, I wouldn't trust that. A quote like that, I wouldn't trust until I found it on Axios. It might be true, but I would never trust something that polemical unless you got it from the source. We were saying about Trump and the 4th dementia test. Oh yeah, you've got problems if you've had 4 dementia tests. Four means 4 different times your doctor has explained the test to you, right? And you still think it's an IQ test. You still think it's an intelligence test. No, it's not. It's literally meant to see if you're losing your mind, if you can no longer do simple math equations, if you can no longer remember simple things. For example, they ask you what day it is, what date it is, the date and the day and the month and the year. They ask you what city you're in, right? These are not meant to be intelligence questions. They're questions as to whether your brain is still functioning or not at all. Let me read you what he wrote this weekend, okay? The results of my physical examination. Oh, we do need hair. We do need hair for this. Hold on. We need hair for this. All right, there we go. Excuse me. The results of my physical examination taken at Walter Reed Military Medical Center and just released were extremely good. Unlike other U.S. presidents, none of whom have ever taken an approved high difficulty cognitive test. I watched a doctor last week talk about this, and the doctor last week said, the test is not hard. It's not intended to be hard. He said, the only people who think the test is hard are people with dementia, unfortunately, right? The approved high difficulty cognitive test, I scored a perfect 30 out of 30, considered extreme intelligence. I mean, this is just sad at this point. He wrote literally, it's considered extreme intelligence because you knew which one was the elephant. Oh, congratulations, Donnie. You knew he was able to pick the squirrel and he was able to pick the elephant. And then he could draw a square all by himself, right? I mean, he knew what day it was, what month it was. He knew where he was. One of the questions is, do you know where you are? Tell me where you are. And he said, Washington, D.C., probably Bethesda, Maryland. We are really screwed. I scored 30 out of 30, considered extreme intelligence. Thank you. Who's that? Mel. Thank you for the gift. Keep them coming, guys. Are the Democrats really surprised? In fact, this is my 4th such test, all perfect, or 120 correct answers out of 120 questions asked. Wow. 4 different times Donald Trump knew what day it was. 4 different times he knew what city he was in. Good for him. We've never had a president like that. Good for him. Thank you. Oh, who's that? Oh, Luis. Thank you, Luis. Very cool gift. Thank you for that. It is very rare that anyone gets a perfect score, especially when achieved 4 times in a row. All people running for president and vice president should be forced to take high difficulty cognitive tests. Here's the interesting thing, and people should demand it. Thank you, Angeline. People should demand it. Hey, okay. Hey. She's getting dirt again. Hey. I saw that. Don't you dare. Get in here. Thank you. Get in here. Somebody should call him on that. somebody should, my dog likes to eat dirt outside. Somebody should call him on that. Someone should say, you're right. You're right. All the presidents should. Mr. President, we've scheduled you a test next week. We've invited all the media, the 5 major networks, whatever they are, will be there. And we are going to, since you've taken it 4 times, and you've aced it 4 times, it'll be very, very easy for you. We're going to have you take a dementia test on camera for everybody. Right? Very interesting. I mean, very interesting. They should say absolutely positively, you're right. Oh, thank you, Lisette. Appreciate that. But tell them and say no, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Dementia test. And again, since it's so easy for you, you should do it on camera and then see what happens, because he'll crap his diaper doing it on camera. Absolutely positively. Oh, thank you, Sadie. Yashu Enigma. Well, this story's crazy. I mean, this story's true. So Mike was sharing a story on YouTube with me. I'm on YouTube as well right now. And I just wanted to be careful that I got it right. One of the things that I like to brag about is I am careful with the news I give you guys. I don't just grab stuff off of Twitter or whatever without confirming, especially something really, and Mike was sharing something that sounded crazy. That's why I said, confirm it. I just confirmed it with Axios. Listen to this story. Axios, very good publication here in Washington, D.C. Let me read you this. It's absolutely crazy. All right. Headline: You're fucking crazy. Trump fumes at Netanyahu in call on Lebanon. Oh, hang on. I've got to log in here. It's making me log in. Here we go. President Trump lashed out at Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over Israel's escalation in Lebanon in an expletive-laden call on Monday. 2 U.S. officials and a third source briefed on the call told Axios. Why it matters. Earlier on Monday, Iran threatened to abandon the negotiations with the U.S. over Israel's actions in Lebanon. On the call, Trump called Netanyahu crazy and accused him of ingratitude, according to 2 of the sources. He also put the brakes on Israel's plans to strike Beirut. Behind the scenes, one U.S. official said Trump told Netanyahu that following through on his threats to bomb the Lebanese capital would further isolate Israel among the world. 2 of the sources said Trump claimed he'd helped keep Netanyahu out of jail, a reference to his support during Netanyahu's corruption trial. Summarizing Trump's remarks to Netanyahu, the U.S. official said, quote, "You're fucking crazy. You'd be in prison if it weren't for me. I'm saving your ass. Everybody hates you now. Everybody hates Israel because of this." A second source briefed on the call said Trump was pissed and at one point yelled at Netanyahu, "What the fuck are you doing?" Driving the news, the U.S. official said Trump knew Hezbollah has been shooting at Israel and that Israel needed to defend itself. But in recent days, he felt that Netanyahu was escalating in a disproportionate way. Instead, Israel no longer plans to strike Hezbollah targets in Beirut, an Israeli official told Axios. Trump and Netanyahu have had several tense calls in the past, but have still coordinated closely on Iran and other things. One official said this was one of Trump's worst calls with Netanyahu since he returned to office. Trump's anger appeared to be driven by the fact that Netanyahu's decision to escalate in Lebanon was threatening to implode his negotiations with Iran. Well, it was. After the call, Trump posted on Truth Social that the Iran talks were continuing at a rapid pace. Netanyahu released, "No, I don't want you going out there again. No, you're going to eat dirt. I don't want you eating dirt. Seriously. Then I got to go and stop you from eating dirt. It's no fun. I'm in the middle of the show here." I could have given and let her out again, but then I'm going to have to go, "Oh my God, fine." And she jumps up and scratches on the door. I'm like, "I don't want you scratching my door." So bad. I'll have to go stop my dog from eating dirt again soon. Now, one thing you've got to consider with stories like this is either that happened or Trump and Netanyahu want you to think that happened, right? We don't know. That story could have happened. Trump could have ripped Netanyahu to shreds, or Trump wanted you or the Iranians to think that he showed Netanyahu, Iran, come back to the table, right? So it is just as possible that this is, I don't know what Occam's razor is here. Occam's razor here, if you're talking about this one, Gunther, Occam's razor Well, Occam's razor would be that Trump did yell at Netanyahu, the simplest explanation. I don't know that that's the most likeliest because they had to leak it too. He didn't just yell at Netanyahu. He decided to leak it to the press that he yelled at Netanyahu. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. So who knows exactly, Robert? Who knows? Ginger tea. Now I've got to go look for the dirt eater again. All right, hey, okay, you done? Okay, come. Thank you. There you go. All right. Miss Haircut. Okay, she didn't need anything there. It does sound like a deception plan to me to a degree. What else we got here? 4th of July. Oh, so the 4th of July fiasco. So you remember you heard that a bunch of musical acts, that a bunch of musical acts had pulled out of the 4th of July festivities on the mall. Basically, 7 out of 10 of the musical acts pulled out, more or less, that were going to be on, not the 4th of July itself, but festivities surrounding the 4th of July. Now we know, and I just, thank you, Brown Eyed Girl, I read something more concrete about it because I was getting confused. The musical acts were asked to come sing on the mall, the mall, which is the downtown area, Washington, D.C., where all the monuments are. They were asked by Freedom 250, the group celebrating the 250th birthday of America, which is this July 4th in a month or 2 months, a month. And they agreed. Well, the problem is that Freedom 250, who invited them to sing on the mall, is not the bipartisan group that is celebrating America's birthday. The bipartisan group that has existed for years that celebrates America's birthday is America 250. That's not who invited the singers. The singers thought they got invited by the official 4th of July celebrations in Washington. That's not who invited them. They got invited. Donald Trump, for whatever reason, decided even though other presidents have used this, literally, it's a nonpartisan or bipartisan nonpartisan, right? Democrats, Republicans working together to celebrate our country every year. And all the other presidents have used this group, this nonpartisan, I say nonpartisan, bipartisan, right? So the group does not make political decisions, but it's made up of people of all politics, right and left. Every other president has used this group to celebrate our birthday. Donald Trump insisted on creating his own MAGA group to celebrate America's birthday, so they would celebrate it in a MAGA way. That's who invited the singers to sing on the mall. It was some weird MAGA group called Freedom 250. The actual American group set up by Congress, mind you, Republicans and Democrats got together, is called America 250. The independent objective group, the real one, is America 250. Trump called his Freedom 250. Also trying to screw with you, because calling it Freedom 250, they were hoping to confuse people. And that's what happened. So all of these not rock groups, they were all kinds of groups, music groups, agreed, and then found out afterwards that they had agreed to sing at a MAGA rally in Washington, D.C., that it wasn't the actual, the real celebration of America's birthday. I mean, why the hell did he have to create a MAGA rally for the birthday? Why we had this group. It was Democrats and Republicans, and they've worked together before, and he couldn't use the group. He had to set up a MAGA group to steal the 4th of July. Of course he did. I mean, of course, we know why, because this is who he is, right? Anyway, so that's what that story is about. The ballroom. This is interesting, actually. I had a little legal epiphany about this. I am a lawyer, you all know. And Trump, seeing what my dog is up to, Trump put out a tweet about the ballroom this weekend that he's building, right? That he wants us to pay $1 billion for. And the tweet was very interesting. Let me see if I can find this. Here it is. This is very interesting. Trump has now gone, full bore this weekend on how the ballroom is actually a secret military facility used to defend all of Washington, D.C. from imminent attack. It's no longer a place to dance. It's no longer a place. Remember, 2 weeks ago, it's for the White House Correspondents' Dinner because it's so dangerous. Now it's no longer that. Now the ballroom is a secret military weapons base used to defend Washington. There's a reason he's crazy, but there's actually a legal reason he's doing this now. I want to read you the tweet first because the tweet, again, is insane. Okay? Bunker ballroom. Oh, it's not just, it was bunker too. Now it's not just bunker. Now it's going to be like an active military weapons base or something, right? Listen to this. The drone port, it's going to have a drone port, an airport for drones on the roof. Now, it's going to have an army of drones on the roof, okay? The drone port at the White House ballroom, the thing is, only an insane person would think a drone port at the White House ballroom doesn't sound ridiculous, right? Let's have a ballroom that has a drone port. It's like, okay, the drone port at the White House ballroom will be perhaps the most sophisticated anywhere in the world. Wow, it'll be the most sophisticated drone port at any ballroom in the world. You mark my words, folks. I'll bet the Queen or the King doesn't have a drone port ballroom as sophisticated as ours. It will safeguard our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., long into the future. Oh, thank you, Lizette. Yeah, again with you. Go on. You are insane. It will safeguard our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. I love when he does that shit too. He had to remind people that our nation's capital is Washington, D.C. He does that a lot. And honestly, it's the kind of stuff that you'd expect from somebody with dementia, right? Like, oh, make sure you remind him what's the nation's capital. And he does. It will safeguard our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., long into the future. So you don't get confused with other U.S. nations' capitals, right? Like Philadelphia, which used to be our capital 200 years ago, right? Crazy shit. Hold on. If anything happens, the judge, will be held responsible for the death and destruction caused to our country from not having a drone port on a ballroom. He has already created enough problems by allowing top secret information to be released. Nobody knows what he's talking about. And exposed based on a ridiculous lawsuit started by a highly litigious woman, serial plaintiff, whose strolling, in her opinion, will be disturbed by the new desperately needed structure. In any event, a woman who has absolutely no standing, listen to this, with the advent of highly sophisticated and powerful modern-day weaponry, we can no longer defend Washington, D.C. with rifles and pistols alone. Oh, okay, Grandpa. This ridiculous lawsuit must be dismissed immediately. Trump says we need the ballroom because the ballroom is actually going to be the most sophisticated drone airport in the world. And the reason we need it is that currently Washington, D.C. is only being defended by, and I quote, rifles and pistols. There's nothing else defending Washington, D.C. other than rifles and pistols, which is why we need the drone port, because otherwise Washington isn't safe. Well, for example, hey, sorry. Well, I'm telling you, my dog is, hey, come on. My dog is the freaking emu. That is my dog. I literally look out my window and I can see her going into my geraniums to eat. Trump thinks Washington, D.C. is being defended by rifles and muskets? Muskets and men in little hats like this. Emmanuel, that's it, Emmanuel. By muskets and pistols. You know who's defending Washington, D.C.? The Pentagon. It's got several 100,000 people working there. All of the military, pretty much. I think Washington, D.C. is pretty safe. No one's going to take over Washington, D.C. without the military letting them take it over. I mean, seriously. But I was going to tell you, I'm a lawyer. The reason Trump is saying that, he's crazy, but this is strategic, okay? A judge is going, okay, let me try this again. If a judge is looking at Trump wanting to build a frivolous ballroom, right? He is going to be, well, let's put it this way. Thank you, Cricket. A judge ruling on a ballroom, okay? A judge ruling on a ballroom might go either way. If that ballroom suddenly becomes a military fortress necessary for defending Washington, D.C. from enemy attack, and the commander-in-chief says he needs it, you've now got a whole other level of scrutiny for the courts, because the courts don't tend to question military decisions by the commander-in-chief. They might question a ballroom by the commander-in-chief and whether it's legal and whether it followed the rules. But something that was necessary to stop an imminent attack on the Capitol and the White House, the commander-in-chief has said in his commander-in-chief power, the courts are going to be way less likely to overrule something like that. That's why Trump is saying this. Trump is talking all this bullshit about the ballroom now being a drone port and Washington, D.C. under attack, because he knows that it potentially makes the case rise to a much higher level, a much higher threshold the judge would have to meet in order to overturn it, because the judge would never want to contradict the commander-in-chief making a military decision the judge would not want to overturn. He would overturn the flighty president, the mercurial president buying a ballroom illegally, yeah, right? But not the commander-in-chief defending the nation from attack. That's what's going on. Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of people mentioning this, but that's clearly what's going on. And he's of course lying. He's also lying, of course. I mean, literally. Also, if I'm the judge, I would be like, Washington, D.C. is only being defended by rifles and pistols. I would literally go, Justice Department attorneys, I want you to explain that to me. We're in a court of law now. You explain to me how Washington, D.C. is only defended by pistols and rifles. I want to hear you in my courtroom allege that out of your mouths and watch them go, right? The Kennedy Center stuff, this was fabulous too. So I think the original Kennedy Center stuff, he went off crazier on the weekend, but the Kennedy Center stuff hit on Friday. And there were 2 court cases that Trump is in trouble with the Kennedy Center. 2? No, I'm already forgetting now. No, there's 2 court cases. God, it's like so many of these different cases. Wait, which one's which now? The insurrection has 2 court cases. The Kennedy Center, I think, has the one. The judge ruled that Trump has to take. Oh, I know what it is. The Kennedy Center, there's 2 decisions. One decision has already been made that Trump has to take his name off the Kennedy Center. The other is that the judge temporarily stayed Trump's decision to close the Kennedy Center for 2 years for repairs. Haha. And the judge temporarily stayed that pending an upcoming decision. So the judge said, I'm still working on it, but I don't want you closing it until I'm done. So that's why there's like 2 there. Trump basically on Friday said, I'm not doing it anymore. He claimed he put hundreds of millions of dollars of his own money into the Kennedy Center. Yeah, anybody who believes that, right? Maybe he put hundreds of millions of bribes that he didn't get. But I mean, there's no way in hell Trump put hundreds of millions of dollars of his own money into the Kennedy Center. That didn't happen, right? But that's what he's claiming, and basically said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing it. He goes, I'm turning the Kennedy Center over to Congress. I'm having the Commerce Department give it to Congress and they'll be in charge. Yeah, it literally doesn't work that way. The Kennedy Center, the entity, I believe, or is it the building belongs to the federal government, but the entity is run by an independent board or an independent agency, or not agency. I forget what you even call it legally, independent organization, whatever. So it's like the government does own the Kennedy Center, but it's being run as an independent organization. It's almost like the Federal Reserve. Like it's part of the government, but it's also its independent thing that gets to run on its own, right? Thank you, Blonde. It gets to run on its own. So anyway, he tweeted many more times this weekend about he's freaking out. Honestly, he's not going to give up on the Kennedy Center. He's not going to give up. He wants his name in that damn thing. He doesn't care at all about the Kennedy Center other than he wants his name on it. Always keep in mind, somebody who is pathologically insecure, but also sort of pathologically narcissistic. So as I've always said, Trump thinks he's the best, most qualified, smartest man in the world. And he also thinks nobody recognizes it. It's Cassandra. Cassandra's a wonderful, it's like my favorite. I don't know if it's my favorite Greek myth, but it's up there. It's my favorite Greek myth lesson, put it that way. And Cassandra, I don't even remember all the details of the myth. What I do remember with Cassandra was that bottom line is she was given the gift of foresight. She was given the gift to know the future. But being Greek tragedy, she was also cursed so that no one would ever believe her. So Cassandra always knew the future and always told everybody the future, and no one believed her. And to me, that's Donald Trump, in that he's convinced he's the smartest, best man in the world, but he also knows nobody in the world thinks he's the smartest man in the world. Nobody. And it drives him crazy. It drives him absolutely. This is why he wants the Nobel Prize. This is why he wants his name on the Kennedy Center. This is why he wants his name on the money. He's convinced. And this is why I also think why he keeps grabbing more and more money and grabbing federal money and everything else. His son's doing all the weird stuff they're doing internationally with money and businesses. I think it's from his perspective, he's trying to prove to mommy and daddy, who are gone, that he really is a real boy, right? And the more money he gets, the closer he gets to thinking he's proven to mommy or daddy that he's a real boy and not made of wood, to mix my metaphors. The CNN, new poll. Is it acceptable for Trump to name buildings after himself? 50% say no. 21% say acceptable after he leaves the presidency. 9% say acceptable right now. What gets interesting is the number of Republicans who say it is acceptable right now for Trump to name buildings in Washington after himself. 17%. Only 17% of Republicans say it's okay for Trump to name buildings after himself in Washington. I thought that was quite interesting, actually. Peter Baker of the New York Times gave a small little, oh, hey, Amanda, what's that about? You didn't have to do that. Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. That was sweet. Or Amanda, I keep calling you Amanda. I never know what to call you. Madonna, whatever. Thank you. That was sweet of you. Peter Baker, New York Times, tweets today, February 10th, Trump's personal portfolio buys between 1 million and 5 million in stock in Dell, the computer company. February 19th, Trump at a rally encouraged, so 9 days after buying between 1 to 5 million of Dell stock, 9 days later, Donald Trump does not disclose publicly that he's bought $1 to $5 million worth of Dell stock. Trump goes public at a rally and encourages supporters to buy a Dell computer 9 days after buying $1 million to $5 million worth of stock. Okay. May 27th, Pentagon awards $9.7 billion contract to Dell, the company Trump just bought $1 to $5 million worth of stock in. This is the problem. And this is the corruption. And it should be noted that never happened under Joe Biden, never happened under Hunter Biden, never happened under Barack Obama. Not to mention, this is small bits for Trump. Dealing with 1 to 5 million in stock, that's small bits for Trump. Trump is dealing with billions in the scam now. His airplane alone that he's stealing is going to be 1.4 billion, if not more. Trump is the airplane, the Air Force One that Qatar or whoever is giving to us. One of the Arab governments is giving us a plane for Air Force One, $400 million plane. Trump is now spending at least $1 billion. At least $1 billion Trump is spending of our money to upgrade Air Force One so it's secure, right? So we're going to spend $1 billion. The plane is worth $400 million. So that's $1.4 million. The plane's going to be ready in a couple of years, right before Trump leaves office. This is my favorite part. A lot of people are worried the plane might not even be ready until Trump leaves office. But the current plan is it probably will be ready a couple months before he leaves office. So we're going to spend $1 billion on a plane that Trump's not even going to use. And when he leaves office, guess what happens? Trump's already arranged that the plane is going to be given as a gift. Air Force One will be given as a gift to the Trump Presidential Library. And the library's already said it's going to let Donald Trump, or the people involved, they're going to let Donald Trump use it until he dies. So Donald Trump got a $400 million personal gift from an Arab government that he now has to deal with, $400 million gift. $1 billion, he's taking $1 billion of taxpayer money for a plane he may not even be able to use that he then is going to be able to walk away with, and it'll be his. So we're giving him $1.4 billion there alone. Hunter Biden, total amount of money alleged by Hunter Biden to have played games with, $24 million. That's it. And that's the Republican number. I don't even think it's true, but the Republicans claim all of the stuff they accused Hunter Biden of, all of the stuff they didn't like, came to $24 million. We don't even know if it's true, but that's what they claim. This deal alone is $1.4 billion that Donald Trump will be taking from the federal government. Yeah. Yeah. Lovely stuff. What else we got? Inflation is good. Greed is good. So let me see if I don't know if I grabbed this video or not. Trump economic advisor Kevin Hassett literally gets asked about inflation and says that basically inflation is really good. It's a sign that things are going really well. I don't have it here. Too bad. That things are going really well in the country. Listen to this. He gets asked about inflation on Fox News and says, people are spending more on gas, but they're also spending more on everything else. Yes, Kevin, we know. Not just groceries, but restaurants and so on. Yes, we know. I think that's a sign you see when people are optimistic about the future. Trump's people are now saying that the fact that we're paying more for groceries and restaurants and gas is really good because it means good things. It means you're confident about the future. That's why you're spending more for gasoline, groceries, and what was the other one I threw in here? Trump's dementia test, restaurants. We're actually paying more for those things because inflation has gone crazy under Donald Trump because of his tariffs, because of gasoline prices going up. By the way, gasoline prices, somebody today was explaining, I was watching this, one of the experts, very interesting actually. You going out again? All right, crazy. I'm obliging you because you're old. She's old and I feel bad. She gets bored. Gasoline prices. I don't know if it was Mr. Global or somebody else today. One of the experts was talking today about the prediction, which Exxon was saying, but others are saying, they are very afraid that in the next 2 to 4 weeks, oil prices might explode, like go up another 50% to like $150 a barrel. Why? This is very interesting. I think somebody on Fox News or somebody said, we're not going to run out of oil. There's more than enough oil in the world. We're not going to run out of oil. And he said, yeah, the problem is not running out of oil. The problem is not having enough oil. He goes, we don't have enough oil right now. We've been pumping it from all of the reserves, but the reserves are going away now, right? All the reserves, all the governments have. And he said, the problem is in 2 to 4 weeks, potentially, Japan, it's going to start with Asia, but Europe is number 2. Asia and Europe are going to find that they don't have enough oil for jet fuel, for other stuff, because we've got this much demand and we've got this much supply, right? There's not enough. It's like running into the store for Americans on Black Friday. And there's only so many items on sale, and there's more people trying to get the items than there are items on sale, right? You get this many people wanting oil, this much oil exists. Well, right now, this amount is being filled by all the strategic reserves. The problem is in 2 to 4 weeks, there isn't enough to meet the demand. So what happens is you've got this much demand for oil, and especially Europe and Asia, they're saying. Europe and Asia are going to want this much oil. This much is going to be on the market. So what happens? The Europeans say, oh shit, there's not enough for us. We're going to pay more. Come on, Sasha, come on. Let's be even more specific, okay? Let's say here's how much oil there is, okay? Here's how much Europe wants. Let's do from my microphone, okay? Here's how much Europe wants. Here's how much Asia wants, this much more. So this much Asia, this much Europe. Together, it's more oil they want than the oil we've got, right? But Europe only wants this much. Asia wants this much. Europe says, well, shit, we need oil, but we don't need all the oil in the world. We just need this much. So rather than the Asians getting it, we'll pay more. So we tell the oil people, hey, give all that oil to Europe and we'll pay you more. And the Asians say, no. We want the extra oil going to Asia, right? Basically, two of you have entered a store and there's only one microwave oven and you're both desperate for your microwave oven. Okay? Oh, fuck it. A gas station. Let's say what it really is. You and your neighbor go to a gas station. It's the last gas station on earth, right? The last, oh, thank you, blue-eyed or brown-eyed. It's the last gas station on earth, right? And you both desperately need that gasoline to get to the hospital. Your family's in trouble. But there's only gasoline left for one car. What are you going to do? You're going to tell the gasoline guy, well, screw the European. I'll pay you twice as much for that gas. And the European's going to say, screw the Asian. I'll give you 3 times as much for that gas, right? Both sides start bidding higher and higher to get the gas. That's what they're concerned about happening in the next 2 to 4 weeks, potentially, possibly in 2 to 4 weeks, is there isn't enough gasoline. There isn't enough oil. And Europe and Asia, especially, they think are going to be the first places that are going to have a shortage. And they're going to try to start outbidding each other for who gets the oil, who gets the diesel fuel, Europe or Asia, and the price starts going up. And they think the price could jump 50% for oil in just the next 2 to 4 weeks. That's the real concern right now. Anyway, it took me a while to think of a good analogy. So that's why when you hear Trump's people saying people are spending more on gas, but they're also spending more on everything else, not just groceries, but restaurants and so on. I think that's a sign when people are optimistic about the future. Yeah. I'm looking, I don't want to, we've already gone through a ton of news. That's a long story. I'm going to skip that story till tomorrow, maybe. New York Times says Trump has been polling aides and allies on whether they prefer Vice President Vance or Secretary of State Marco Rubio as he weighs the Republican Party's future. Trump isn't so sure about Vance. I love that. Ukraine says in just 2 days, Sasha, come on. Oh my God, you're insane. Jesus. Ukraine says in just 2 days, Russia lost 1,000 trucks and 3,000 soldiers. And finally, I'll skip the other one. There's another story, but we can talk about it tomorrow. The other 2 stories aren't necessarily timely. We'll take a break. Oh my God, I know people say that, I don't know how people think I calm their nerves. People have said that before. I'm like, these stories are so horrific, though. I don't feel like they're very calming stories, But if it makes you feel better, that's good. So, doesn't calm me very much, but what do you do? Just here, gonna check my air conditioning again to make it a little cooler here. Oh man, there we go. Oh my God. Once again, what are you doing, dog? My God. Anyway, so yeah, what's up? Are you back again? Oh, I'm watching. All right. She really likes to go after my geraniums for whatever. I know we're in it together. True. We are in it together. That is true. Anyway. Oh, that's fun. Aileen says, I'm meeting my distant cousin tomorrow for the first time. She found me on Ancestry. That's fun. I've only found one. I think I've only. Oops! Watch out, Sash. You all right? She came flying in and wiped out. I'm trying to think. Well, actually did find two on Ancestry. Two relatives. Yes. One are some Australians. They're distant, but we know the connection, which is neat. I mean, we're talking the Australians and I have the same great grandfather, 3 times great. But it's still kind of cool because like I know my family that far back for this branch of the family, and they know theirs that far back. So it is kind of cool that we like literally know that, right? Oh, yours is Australian too. So that's kind of fun. The other one is a Greek who is descended from my great grandfather, a different line of the family, but 4 times great. And again, we know, but I'm still kind of helping him because there's it's a little confusing because they know who the ancestor is, but there's 3 of them in our family. So we aren't sure which one in the 1800s it is, but very cool. But otherwise Ancestry and stuff, the blood, the genetic stuff has never been clear enough. They're in Melbourne. Yep. They are in Melbourne, Justin. Yep. It's never been clear enough who's who, with the Ancestry stuff. Like a lot of people, the problem is there's a lot of, even there's some of the connections who are close-ish, they don't have their family trees. And if you don't have your family tree, how are we supposed to figure out what our connection is? And I don't trust enough that there's a 1%, even if it's a 1% DNA match, which is pretty good. If you don't know the genealogy, I'm kind of like, I don't know. To me, it's a little weird. I don't feel like there's enough of a connection, for me at least, unless dog, come on. I know, I see you. Unless like we know exactly what the connection is, you found out your great cousin was Martha Washington. Okay. That's pretty cool. That's very cool. Well, see, you guys have got like records going back forever. The Greeks, we've got them back to 1825, 1830, and then it gets sketchy, or it can be, oh, geez, what's up, Sash? It can be much sort of sketchier at that point. Hey, what are you doing, goofball? So it gets a little harder, So anyway. Yeah, the PBS show. Yeah. It's fun though. I mean, I had so much. I mean, I think I told you I had like a huge breakthrough this year. We had a bunch of people, people with my last name on like Facebook and stuff. And here, do you want to come up and say hi? Oh, I got you. Let's go say hi real quick. Let's say hi. Okay. She just got her hi. I know. Hello. She's got her hair cut. Yeah. All right. Yes. Hello. Yes. She got her haircut. So she's old, but she's looking young, but she's very old. Oh, I'm sorry. See, she doesn't see as well. So like I went to kiss her and she got scared because she doesn't hear or see as well. So she doesn't know it's coming. So I've got to like be careful because when she all of a sudden gets touched, she thinks she's hitting something. She's a Yorkie Bichon, but you're seeing the Yorkie there when you're saying Westie. Yeah. But anyway, no, it was very fun though. So we've had but I had a number of Erebosises online, and only my family has my name. Nobody has my name. I mean, literally nobody. The name doesn't exist in Greece. I mean, it exists, but only with my family. It's not a name, which is interesting, actually. Like, there aren't a lot of names like that out there, I think, where literally nobody has that name but your family, right? So there were a number of Greeks on Facebook and elsewhere, and we've reached out before, but we never knew who the hell these people are. It made no sense. And I finally figured it out like 3 months ago. And I forgot what I did to figure it out. I mean, I had found a Greek census from like 1856, a handwritten Greek census. And that and a couple things finally pulled it together. It was actually, and I had interviewed some of the people. Like I interviewed one of the men who's my age, who knew the story of his grandfather and found, his grandfather was a priest or whatever that moved whatever, and then talked to the other guy who also had like a great grandfather who was a priest. And I went, okay, that's interesting. And bottom line is I was able to pull it all together that now we know that those other Erebosises are a branch of our family that split 1820 or so, which is crazy. Like that, I was able to, and I was literally able to trace it back to the common ancestor who's probably born in 1800. But we know that they had 2 children 1822, 1820 to 1825, the two children, and that one of those children was my ancestor and one was theirs. But it's pretty cool because my ancestor was, I'm trying to think. I'd have to look at it again. Great. Our common ancestor is probably three greats, I think. Three greats. But pretty cool. So that was fun. I was very happy about that because what you'll find in doing ancestry stuff is you find things and you find people, but you're not quite sure. And it's especially weird if you are able to, like in my case, literally you're finding people with your family name, which only my family has. And you're like, come on, somebody has, and they don't know. They know back 100 years. But even back 100 years, they were like, no, we don't. My favorite was the one guy told me, he goes, no, we don't have a connection to your village. Which, I mean, he was right in a way. You didn't. You had a connection to the village next door, but it was very interesting stuff. I find it fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So anyway. But yeah, it's fun. I like the genealogy stuff. I found it quite interesting, and it's fun finding the old documents and the old connections and, Dutch last name, 80% American Indian. Oh, that's interesting. Family is gone in Sicily. Two large families here in America that don't talk. I never understand that kind of stuff. That stuff makes no sense. Anyway, but like I said, it's quite, I think this stuff is quite fascinating. Bye, Amanda. See you. Thank you. You're adopted and don't want anyone finding you. Oh, I see. Yeah, true. I mean, if you're adopted, that's a whole other weird thing. Yeah. Because like, maybe you do, maybe you don't want to find the other family. You know what I mean? That's a weird, yeah. I never know how that is for people who are adopted, Because one of the things too is like, I was thinking my family tree. If you're adopted, is it your family tree? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a weird, it's weird. It's like, it's your parents' ancestry. Like, my famous uncle in the Greek Revolution. It's my family. If I were adopted, it would be my family's ancestry, but not mine per se. I've always found that very interesting. The relative that came over on the Mayflower was quite the scoundrel. That's funny. Yeah, but I could see somebody, if you're adopted, it's got to be an interesting question as to whether you want to know, oh, interesting. Aiden, adopted and met your biological parents through Facebook. Oh, that's interesting. A number of you have found my biological family. They welcomed me with open arms. Oh, that's nice. But like I said, I think it would be interesting, but it would be, first of all, mixed feelings, because for you, like you kind of wonder, oh, all right, come on in again. Come on. It's got to be sort of mixed feelings to find out why you were put up for adoption, right? Whether they're good reasons or not. Also, I was talking to somebody once back home in Chicago, who I think it was our painter. And he was telling me how using the ancestry stuff, he found someone who I think was basically his half brother. Oh yeah, it was his half brother. Yeah, again, when the genes are that close, they know exactly, right? And he contacted the guy, and the guy wanted nothing to do with him. And I think he could either his mom or his dad, I forget who it was that it was based on, but talked to them, and they said, yeah. But the other guy wanted nothing to do with him. And now I did tell him, I said, possibly the other guy wanted nothing to do with you because you would require him talking to his mother about why she cheated on his father 30 years ago. Like, that's a weird, you know what I mean? Like, I could see being like, getting that information, talking to your siblings and them going, we can't do this to mom, right? When mom's gone, we can do it, right? But it's an interesting question. Because he was upset about it, not upset, but it really bothered him. And I said, yeah, but I'm with you. I would want to know, but maybe it means having to tell his mother we found out your secret. And what if the mother and father are good, and now you're going to break up your parents' marriage by telling them that you found mom's love child? That's a weird, yeah. Anyway, it's complicated. I was just trying to tell him, like, it's complicated because it hurt him a lot. And I said, I would not be hurt because it could be a legitimate reason, so to speak, as to why. In other words, he's not blowing you off. It's not that he doesn't care. It could be that he's protecting his mom or dad, whoever it is. But you know what I mean? What I forget. He knew which parent it was. And we think the other one was protecting, his stepbrother, or his half brother, I should say, was protecting the parent that he knew who it would be. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting though. I mean, obviously it is a weird thing in the family story, but I mean, especially finding cousins who are really close would be fascinating, right? I mean, like I said, like love children. Trump, I don't think so. Not that we know of. Anyway, all right, guys, I'm gonna sign off shortly here. Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. Oh my God, Weinekins is whining again. She gets her shot tomorrow. Yay! Her next Librela shot, which helps for her arthritis because she's been a little whiny the last week. So hopefully that will help. All right, I'm gonna go, guys. It's 7:15. So thank you for joining. Thank you for the gifts. As always, we'll be back tomorrow night, Tuesday, 6 o'clock Eastern time, US, to talk about the latest news. So join us then. Yeah, that's true. Tomorrow. Yeah, mention it, Elaine. I'd be curious. We can, during the chat part of the show, bring it up. Paula says, I had a DNA match with a chap I didn't know existed. He was adopted at birth, but he's my cousin. You see, I mean, if it's a close enough connection, the problem, I'll leave you with this. The problem is if the connection isn't very strong, I think it's not guaranteed that you're a relative. I think. Wait, at least from what I remember, I don't know that it's guaranteed you're a relative. Or maybe, I shouldn't say that. Maybe, well, let me see here 1 second. I can ask ChatGPT. I don't know whether ChatGPT is going to get this right, but let's try. And then we'll go from here real quick. Where is this? I know. I hear you, dog. Come on, ChatGPT. Where are you? Let me try this here. All right. I've got let me make sure the thinking mode is on, which is the more, hang on. Thinking mode is on. Good. Okay. Here's my question for you. On sites like Ancestry.com, when I've got a match with somebody, let's say it's a 1% DNA match, let's say it's a 0.2% DNA match. Does that mean for a fact that we're related? Or are there margins of error? Or does everybody have some DNA that matches, but it doesn't mean we're connected, that we had a distant ancestor? Like, what does it mean for sure if I've got, let's say 2.2%. What does it mean for sure if I've got a 0.2% match with somebody? I love this. Mattress. No, not mattress. All right, let's see here. Oh, I think it's going to give me the written answer. It is. It's not going to talk. I'll read it to you. When we finish this, I'll go. But let's get the answer first, and then I'll go. Yeah, so I'm saying, like, what does it strongly suggest? Because I thought I remembered that it's not a guarantee. Although maybe it is a guarantee. Maybe it is, oh, no. If you share DNA, you share DNA. It means there's a connection back somewhere. And eventually we all share DNA when it comes down to it, right? We've got 2% Neanderthal or whatever the hell it is too. More or less depending on, well, I know it goes by genetic markers, but what does that actually mean? Let's see here. The DNA match does not mean we have proven the exact ancestor. We know that. It means the site found enough shared DNA segments that its algorithm thinks you and the other person likely inherited that DNA from a shared ancestor. But the confidence depends heavily on how much DNA you share. Ancestry measures this mainly in centimorgans, or CM. Their own support page says the reported CM is an estimate of shared DNA they can attribute to a recent common ancestor, and that more shared CM generally means a closer relationship. The practical answer, 2.2% shared DNA is a real match for genealogy purposes. That's roughly in the neighborhood of blah, blah. I would treat the person as genuinely related biologically. 1% shared DNA is also usually a real genealogical match. For example, the Australians I'm connected to, there's around 1%, I think, connection, which is interesting because that's a great-great-great-grandparent, but it's 1%. But the possible relationship range gets wider, maybe third cousin-ish, maybe a removed cousin, Sure. 0.2% shared DNA is where I'd be much more cautious. That's roughly 12 to 15 cms. It may be real, it may be a distant cousin, but it is not proof by itself. At that size, the match could be from a real distant ancestor, from a very old population level connection, or from algorithmic noise. Ancestry's white paper says shorter detected segments are less likely to be truly inherited from a common ancestor. Oh, okay. And yes, all humans share huge amounts of DNA in the broad sense. These companies are not just saying you both have normal human DNA. They're looking for shared stretches of DNA, but small shared stretches can happen for reasons that don't cleanly point to a traceable common ancestor. Okay. Yeah, so for genealogy, I treat 0.2% as a clue, not evidence. 2.2% absolutely evidence, and then as it said, 1% pretty much evidence. But the 1%, as I told you, still gets you to the Australia. I'd have to look him up, but I think he was 1%. Pretty sure he was. Actually, I should look right now, just for fun. I hear you, dog. Just for fun. I'm not going to tell you his name, not that it matters. But let me pull up his name really quick and see what percentage it is just for fun. DNA matches. Oops. Here we go. I hear you, dog. I'm trying to think of where. Oh, actually, he should actually be close to the top, I think. Here he is. Well, it says 68 cms, less than 1%. But how? Let me ask it about that. So the one guy I'm interested in, who I know we have a common great-great-great-grandfather, has 68 cm connection to me. If you didn't know that he and I have a great-great-great-grandfather in common, would the 68 be enough to say, yeah, you're probably a relative?
At 68 centimorgans, yes, it's quite reasonable to say you're probably related. That level often fits in the range of something like fourth cousins. While DNA alone doesn't pinpoint the exact relationship, 68 cm is strong enough that you'd want to explore that shared ancestry. It's not a random coincidence. There's almost certainly a real genealogical connection.
Well, wait, you kind of bouncing back and forth there. Is 68 enough where you'd say, no, you're clearly a relative? Or is 68, it's still possible that you're not connected?
To be direct, 68 centimorgans is well within a range where you're almost certainly biologically related. It's not so large that you know the exact relationship just from the number, but it's strong enough that it's not random noise. You two share a real ancestor. Exactly which one just needs the family tree to confirm.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I'm looking. Yeah, because I've got like one, but we don't know who she is. There's a 98 cm, and we just don't know who it is, but that's even better of a connection.
Exactly. At 98 cm, that's an even stronger clue that you've got a common ancestor. You might not have figured out where they fit yet, but that's not just random data. It's definitely worth digging into family trees or shared matches to.
Okay, stop. I don't need pablum. Yeah, see, that's what's interesting. That's what's interesting with all of this. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, so he's a little less than 1% at 65, which actually, you know what's useful about that? That gives you a sense of where the fact that a little less than 1% or 68, it said cms, the way Ancestry does it, in our case means a shared great-great-great-grandfather is kind of interesting, actually, because it means it really does give you a pretty distant connection to relatives. The problem is you've got to know your family tree. Again, you want to go out there? I know you're not feeling very happy right now, are you? All right. You got to know your family tree. Otherwise, good luck finding the connection. Like I said, I find it fascinating. Even distant cousins. Like I said, I'd love to meet the Australians someday. I just think it's fun, Anyway, all right, guys. Have a good night. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. All right. Oh, street rat. Oh, are you writing something before I hang up on you? Kind of defeats the purpose. What? Oh, stop you. All right. Well, no, but you could have your family tree, but you don't like the Australians. I had my family tree. They had their family tree. I didn't know that they intersected. And I also was able to find I also had my great grandmother's dowry. And it's a poor handwritten copy from the 1860s from Greece, but I posted it online and had some people look at it, and they're right. There's a line in there you can read that says, daughter of so-and-so, the mom's name, widow of so-and-so. And we went, oh my God, we've got her father's name. Now, we knew the father's first name, but we had her father's name. Well, his tree had her father. So that's when we finally made the perfect, like the full connection to the Australia. Well, we always knew we were connected, but we had the same village and everything. But then we knew exactly how. So it's part your family trees. Our family trees never connected. They were close because he didn't know about her. Is the thing. His family tree didn't know about her. His family tree knew her father, but he didn't know her. And we didn't know her father until I checked the dowry online and people were able to read the dowry entry. Anyway, I love this stuff. Like I said, I find it just fascinating, all right, guys. All right. Have a good night, Discord. I'm going to go deal with whiny McWinekins here. I hear you. Oh my God, stop, please. All right. What am I? Instagram. All right, Instagram. Have a good night, guys. All right. YouTube, etc. Good night. TikTok, you're last.